we need to take a very hard look at our China policy. Till now, we have proceeded on the assumption that even though the boundary is not demarcated, it's been a relatively peaceful border with no lives lost. And we have also provided China access to our market. And the second is that we take a hard look at areas where we want to build domestic manufacturing capabilities. And in many of these sectors, the Chinese presence and our dependence on them is quite substantial. For instance, active pharmaceutical ingredients. So we need, in these sectors where we want to build domestic capability, to also look at how we can limit and reduce our dependence on China. In the diplomatic realm, we need to take a look at whether our policy of trying to balance the great powers has been successful, or whether we need to build greater relations with those countries which can help us to balance China in Asia. Because accepting Chinese hegemony in Asia and, you know, a dominant power may be difficult for India. I am not sure, because you know, China's behavior seems to have been very carefully thought out. It's not like it was just a sudden local skirmish which occurred. It's been premeditated, as the Ministry of External Affairs said, and now they have advanced an exaggerated and untenable claim, as the Foreign Ministry statement said, by claiming the whole of Galwan Valley, where they haven't really even had a presence since 1962. So I am not sure that at this stage, escalating to the highest level would yield results. It hasn't worked so far. We are seeing both Taiwan and Japan, which have very substantial investments in China and which help to develop the Chinese market, have the same kind of problems that we are facing. Indeed, at a certain stage, when you know, tensions over the islands between China and Japan were running high, China decided to ban the export of certain critical materials and minerals to Japan, which Japan needed for its industry. So I am not saying a boycott. I am saying a more nuanced position where you subject their presence either to the scrutiny on account of national security, where you have sensitivities and critical infrastructure sectors where they have a presence, or you subject them to the test of whether, you know, your dependency on them is too high in certain sectors, or you want to provide some degree of protection for a limited period to your domestic industry to build capabilities. Because what we've seen over the past several years is that the trade with China is, has been harmful to us in many ways. The whole small and medium industry sector in India has collapsed. On such issues, there tends to be a kind of neutrality, because people don't really know what happened, and the Chinese have put out that it is the Indians who attacked them, they were on their side of the line to control. So for many people, it appears the facts, you know, don't really come out clearly, and they don't want to take sides. But I would like to correct you. I think Secretary of State US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has made a statement condemning Chinese aggressive behavior vis-a-vis their own people and vis-a-vis India. He has made a statement, not immediately, but after a little while, they did make that statement. Russia, I think, has become pretty close to China because of the pressure that the Western countries have been putting on it after their intervention in Ukraine. The sanctions and efforts to reduce their dependence on Russia for energy. So Russia has now become a key energy partner of China, which with pipelines and gas deals and so on. And strategically, the Russians have been seeking to prevent a U.S.-dominated, world order, and in that we see the Chinese as a close partner. So my expectation is that Russia will be a defense partner for you and will help you to, with your defense capabilities. But in any India-China situation, they are likely to be neutral. How reliable would the US be as a partner vis-a-vis China remains to be seen. But you should use the relationship with the US to build your own capabilities and give you space in dealing with China and balancing them. You also have to build with other countries like Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Australia, Indonesia, all of whom have been having their own troubles with China and have been subjected to Chinese pressure. If you are importing PPE equipment, you imported it from China, then you had problems with the quality. Now you are importing from South Korea. Why couldn't you have imported from South Korea in the first place? Similarly, for fast trains and things like that, Japan also has technology. In many areas, South Korea has technology or Germany has technology. You can look at other partners and perhaps, in sectors which you deem important, it's worthwhile paying a slightly higher price to keep China out of those strategically significant sectors.